Welcome to Vader News. I'm Bambi Francisco, and I'm speaking with Marissa Meyer. She's the VP of Search Products and User Experience at Google. Marissa, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Bambi.
Now, recently Google rolled out new features on iGoogle, and I was reading a little bit on the page, and it said basically you made these changes to address a world that's going to be far more social, connecting with friends through shared online experiences. So what changes were made to allow for a more social experience on iGoogle?
Sure. Well, I'll talk a little bit about iGoogle as a product first, and it's been one of our big hits. We have rolled out Google Gadgets, and these are a way of personalizing your homepage. So you can put these sort of little postage stamp applications on your page, and you can see, for example, your Google Reader there. You might see the New York Times. You might be able to have Netflix. We also have a lot of new gadgets that help you play games, do crossword puzzles, and this is what you can add to your homepage. One thing we saw was that people a lot of times wanted more space. So the gadgets are small. What if you wanted to be able to see them big? And so we really were interested in creating a maximize mode or a canvas view where you could say, you know what, right now I'm doing the crossword puzzle, make it big. And can you really expand that? So we were interested in introducing a maximize mode. And then there became a question of, well, if you have maximize mode, how do you get back out of it? What does the navigation look like? Should you have tabs or not? And our most active iGoogle users, which are the users we really want to focus on, have so many gadgets that it's not really reasonable to lay them out along the top. So we started looking at left nav. So we introduced a left navigation bar that lets you click back out of it. The canvas in the maximize mode takes over the whole right side of the screen. The other nice thing property this has, is as iGoogle starts to look more at the social elements. How can you connect with your friends? Can you, play a game, not necessarily against the computer, but with a friend? Could you see comments that your friends are leaving on different blogs, or ultimately connect to, say, their Picasa photo albums? When you're looking at those types of interactions, probably via open social, we probably also want chat. And we actually think on that left-hand navigation bar, one great thing that'll occur is that you can actually pop in and out of maximize mode. The other great thing is you can actually talk to your friends the same way that chat and Google Talk are embedded into Gmail. People want that on their iGoogle page too, and that's really, we're starting to lay down the platform for some of this evolution.
Well, I want to talk more about the social aspects, but what do you think I have iGoogle, and I have readers and New York Times, I have feeds in there, I have weather, and I have Gmail, and which to me is sort of the killer app. It's one of the reasons why I would have iGoogle. But what is the killer app for iGoogle? What are those little widgets that are most popular?
Well, they really vary. It's a surprise. So definitely things that are of the day, word of the day, joke of the day, quote of the day, all do really well. A lot of our news-related gadgets are great. People don't necessarily want to have news set as their homepage, right? Google News or the New York Times, they don't necessarily want that. They want Google Search available, and now you can get a little snippet of the New York Times or a little snippet of Google News right on your homepage. And so news is really popular, of the day is really popular, and interestingly, some of our more random or fun gadgets, like the eyes. I have them on my page. They're one of my favorite things. In terms of a lot of our users do too. We have these googly eyes that just track your mouse. And I just love them. Other users love them. And there's some things that are just fun and are there. We have a clock that's actually really popular, and it's sort of strangely a large clock, and we've talked about should we redesign it to make it smaller, but users seem to love it so much in its current form and color scheme, we don't really want to revise it.
Now, do you feel that, I know a number of people who just go to Facebook as their first page, and so do you feel that that iGoogle could be a little bit more social like Facebook, so it feels like, you're just not, you're able to see what your friends are doing at the same time you're able to consume this information that you're interested in?
I think it's possible, but I think that iGoogle is focused a lot more on the content. What are you going to read today? What game are you going to play today? What quote are you going to learn about, or what word are you going to learn? And I really think that as we go social, it's going to be more about the content you're consuming, less about some of the demographic attributes, what music do I like, more about what are you reading today, what are you doing today, maybe, And so you can imagine really being able to share across your friends and see, 3 of your friends all watch this video, 4 of your friends all read this newspaper article, and obviously you decide whether or not you want to participate and share your activities that way.
Sure.
But if you did, you could imagine actually using your social network to help you find more interesting content. And it's a little bit more implicit, which I think will be successful rather than explicit.
So will you be using the social networks from Facebook or whatever social networks you're on?
Well, I think that we actually have some elements of social networks already building at Google. Of course, we have Orchid, which is very popular in Brazil and India. But when you actually look at, for example, Gmail, we know your contacts. And so if you look at, could we use that as the basis for a social network? Probably you'd want to confirm who your friends are as you add them. That would be a really good base for these social connections. And then you start saying, okay, well, if we now know your set of friends off of your Gmail contacts, that makes it easy to start adding social elements to some of our successful applications like iGoogle and Gmail.
Now, do you think that there's sort of these voyeuristic feeds, whether it's Twitter or Friends feed, they're really, really popular? And would you move into that area of actually saying, I want to follow this person's actions and have a feed of whatever they're doing? Is that something that makes sense on iGoogle?
I think it's possible. I think that it's easy to allow someone to say, hey, I want to post this video, or hey, this is what I'm doing right now when they Twitter. Those are explicit actions, and I think there's value in that. And usually when you're building the framework for updates, that's an easy thing to add. I think some of the more interesting elements come through some of the more implicit collaborative filtering-based technologies, right? Based on the activity you see in your friendship circle, or based on other users who seem to be like you in terms of the gadgets they host on their page. What are they reading? What are they doing? And I actually think that in terms of serendipity, in terms of getting you the content you're most interested in, that has as much promise as some of the explicit sharing. And in truth, they're complementary. It's not usually one or the other. So I think we could actually do both.
Now, as far as the gadgets, now you have a gadget developers. There's 45,000 and growing gadgets. How many have some monetization tied to it, and what does a developer get? What does Google get?
Sure. Well, I don't have the exact numbers, but we certainly are seeing some companies who already have established business models really using Google gadgets almost like a form of an advertisement. It's a distribution mechanism, and it's a great distribution mechanism, right? Because if you're the New York Times or if you're Netflix, you might not be that user's homepage, but now you have a place on their homepage. Your brand is in front of that user every day, the functionality, being able to read the article or work your Netflix queue, those are all elements that are right on the homepage. And so we definitely see healthy business models behind companies like that, and we're starting to see real business models grow up in some of the other gadgets, because our most successful gadgets actually have tens of millions of page views a month, which is pretty phenomenal. That's on par with some of the best websites out there.
Now, do you, 10 times, 100 gazillion times more powerful than ours, or more visited than ours. What, are they going to have any social elements, like the apps that are just exploding on the iPhone and the social networks? Do they have a social component?
The beautiful part of developers is you never know what they're going to build. Okay. But I think it's certainly conceivable that as we introduce chat and we introduce open social and make iGoogle an open social container, that means that developers would have access to some of your friend information, and that ultimately could allow them to create social gadgets.
And one last question for this segment: you did also roll out something with images with Life magazine, Lifetime magazine or Life magazine? Life magazine. So where are you going with that? This is just part of what you're just expanding your library of images.
Well, we really like bringing offline content online. That's what we did with satellite and aerial photography in Earth and in Google Maps. We're doing it with Google Book Search, and we are bringing more and more content online. We also, when we launched the newspaper archives in September, we brought newspapers online, because the more content you bring online, the more answers you have to people's searches, right? Comprehensiveness is a big part of search. So by bringing content that has previously only existed offline online, our search gets more and more relevant. And the Life images are amazing. They're literally, I think, only less than 10% of them have ever been seen publicly before, because a very small percentage of them get used in the magazine, but they're all very high resolution, great quality images. And just to see their historical value, their archival value, the photographic quality of them, they're really high quality, interesting images.
Does Google have the biggest image database?
I think so.
Thanks, Marissa. I've been speaking with Marissa Meyer. She's VP of Search Products and User Experience at Google. Stick around. Marissa is going to be here to talk about the iteration of search and Chrome and a lot more. I'm Bambi Francisco. You've been watching Vader News.